Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for joining me here today. Now you might be wondering, why am I standing here behind a brand new Tesla Model X Plaid when I just purchased the long range version in May of last year? Well, a few things have happened and there's a story to be told. So stick around, let's get started. So here in St. Louis this year, we've had a pretty brutal winter. And about a month ago, we finally had a break in the temperature. And we had one day that was 47 degrees because we had all the salt on the roads and the snow, and the car was just super dirty. And so I decided it was time to run it down through the touchless car wash down in Chesterfield. So going through the car wash, temperature's nice. There's a long line to get through. Everyone's using the car wash that day. And as I'm driving through the car wash, I hear a weird pop, kind of a strange squeaking sound, and then all of a sudden a shape, almost the exact same shape as the state of Kansas where I'm from, started zipping through my window. Had nowhere to go, cars in front of me, cars behind me, no way to get out, so I had to ride it out through the remainder of the car wash. I left there and immediately went down to Tesla, which is just a few blocks down the street. It was a Saturday. They don't have service on Saturday, only the sales folks. So they asked me to come back on Monday. I did that. Tesla reviewed the crack. You could feel the ridge on the inside of the window. There were no visible rock chips on the outside of the window. So they agreed if I bring my car back in, they'll replace my window under warranty. As you can imagine, that's a huge relief because that window replacement's about $2,000. And for the life of me, I can't figure out how going through a car wash broke it. The only thing I can guess is perhaps it was a defect in the window. The crack started up behind the camera mechanism on the inside of the window and came out both sides from that. So there's a possibility maybe in the original production of the vehicle that the glass was compromised in some way. It's in the shop today getting repaired, and Tesla was kind enough to give me a brand new Model X Plaid as a demo car. So I've had this car for a couple of days now, had an opportunity to take it out and drive it, climb around on the inside of it, and just really compare the plaid version to the long range version that I purchased. And I want to go through what some of the changes are today and then get your thoughts on whether or not it's worth the $10,000 to $11,000 upgrade. First of all, let's talk about the outside. This particular one, the same 20-inch tires that I have on my long range version, you do have the opportunity with the Plaid to get the Uber turbines. I had those when I had my 2021 Model Y Performance. They're a little bit sportier looking, but in my opinion, this is the best choice, and this is a choice I'd probably choose whether I had the Plaid or the long range that I have. You have the upgraded brakes. I think the remainder of the exterior is basically the same. Couldn't really see any differences there. Of course, you've got the Plaid badge on it back here. So let's talk about what you get for your extra $10,000 or $11,000 if you decide to go with the Plaids. Well, first off, the long range dual motors, 670 roughly horsepower, 0 to 60, 3.8 seconds. You can have three different configurations in the seating in that. You can have a 5-seater, 6-seater, or you can have the 7-seater. The 6-seater version in the long range is a $6,500 add-on. The 7-seater is only a $3,500 add-on. The Plaid now comes standard with the 6-seat version in it. You get three motors instead of two. You have a 0 to 60 in 2.5 seconds. Mind blowing, by the way.
Oh my God.
Top speed is still the same. This one is at 149. I think mine's at 149. Now inside, hopefully you can see this. Hopefully it's not too dark. But the Plaid does come with the carbon fiber finishes here. You got those here on the door. You've got them again here on the dashboard. The long range version that I have has a like a faux wood type of a finish. This particular model has the black interior, And I'm not really a fan of the black interior. I like the white interior I have in my car. That's it's a $2,000 upgrade, but you could have it in here if you wanted to spend the extra money on it. Let's take a look in the back seat at this 6-seat configuration. Now, if I look at this from the front, I get almost a minivan esque feel. Esque, is that a word? But you know what I mean. You've got some space here in the aisleway, and it looks quite spacious back here. If a minivan could take off like a rocket like this thing can, but I don't know how practical it is. So I'm not a super tall guy, kind of a short guy, as a matter of fact. And I would say I like the concept of the two captain's chairs back here. It makes it feel quite roomy here. The one thing that I don't care for too much is there isn't any kind of an arm that folds down here, an armrest that folds down on the side of the seats. So you have the one here on the door, but the one here in the middle, your arms are just kind of here. It kind of feels like you should have something that flips down. These seats do adjust back and forth. It's not a great deal of motion, but there's a little bit of travel here. Aside from that, it does give you easier access if you need the additional seats in the back here. This back seat here, I have to say, it looks a little small. Well, if I'm being absolutely honest with you, you kind of need to be a little kid to ride back here. I got this seat about midway. My legs do not fit behind the seat very well. Now, you do have all this space here in the front, so if you have an adult sitting back here, they could have their legs up the center. This back seat really is designed for small kids. If you need the extra seats, the 6-seater might be for you, but frankly, there's just not a whole lot of legroom back here. So let's take a look at what amenities we do have in the back seat here. We do have a couple of USB ports right down here. There are some vents on the side of the sidewall of the car back here. Everything else back here looks basically the same. You got your same screen back here with the same controls that you would have with the long range version. Now, a big part of what we use our X for and what we used our Model Y before that for was for camping. And you can see in the 6-seat configuration, that's really not an option. This particular one, they've got some 3D mats in here. I don't think that comes standard with the Plaid, but I could be wrong about that. Maybe they just put those in here since they're using this as a loaner car. But when I look at the back here, the seats, and I had to actually play around with this for a minute to find it. They fold down about like so. So when you do that, you still have a decent amount of space back here to haul things in. I've been able to get quite a bit in the back of my car when we go camping. We take a lot of equipment with us, and there's never a shortage of space in the back of the car when we're traveling. You still get your trunk space underneath of here, but you do lose that extra trunk space would be up here in the long range version because of the seat configuration. The extra panel over here, still there for any kind of storage you need. I think the back of it, really back here, is mainly the same, with the exception of, again, with the 6-seat configuration, you wouldn't have the ability to throw down the middle row up there and lay any kind of a sleeping mat or anything back here. So for us, the 6-seat configuration would not really be practical. Take a look at the menu inside the car and see if there's anything we can determine that's different. Go over here to the menu first. This all looks pretty straightforward right here. Pedals and steering. This is where we have the Chill, Sport, and Plaid. I think in my long range version, it has Chill, Sport, and Insane. Strip mode, that's basically the same. You have the option to launch the car. I have that same option in my car. It would obviously not be as fast. I've never used it and not sure how often I actually would, although I do like to go fast. Steering weight, set to light, regen braking, all of that's the same. Suspension, this is all exactly the same as what I see in the long range. Charging, autopilot. This particular car has the full self-driving supervise activated on it. Full self-driving set to standard. That's all the same. The seating, when you get into the seating, you can see the configuration here is a little bit different than the 5-seater that I have, but you still have the options of moving the seats back and forth. Software, this particular car's got 12,103 miles on it. Full self-driving computer 4. The last thing that I'll touch on here is you can see on the Trip B, which has the most miles on it, 1243. The total energy is 453 kilowatts, 364 watt hours per mile. I would say whoever's driving this is probably driving a little bit faster because it's a Plaid model. But aside from that, yep, that's everything within the X model Plaid, which seems basically the same as what's in my car. So let's talk numbers. This car, as configured today, is 103,130 out the door. Now that doesn't include the additional $8,000 you'd have to pay if you want the full self-driving. So if you spec this same car, long range version, with the 5 seats, you're out the door at 88,130. So if you want to 6-speed configuration, add another $6,500 to that. That gives you kind of an idea of what a long range version that's similar to this car would cost. For those out there that own the Plaid, what are your thoughts? Since you've owned the Plaid, is it worth the extra $10,000 to $11,000 that you spend over the long range version? Are you happy with the performance? What are your complaints? If you could do it differently, what would you do differently? And for those that own the long range version like I do, which is not this one, Plaid worth the extra $10,000 to $11,000, or is a long range sufficient? Anyway, hope you found the video entertaining. Catch you on the next one. Thanks for watching.